Welcome to the new 2026-2027 Community Impact Accelerator Grant Program. My name is Alan Lucidi, and I'm with the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute at RIT. I'm going to walk through the new RFP and help you understand exactly what makes a strong, competitive proposal. The goal is simple. We want you to walk away with a clear understanding of what this program funds, how to determine whether your project qualifies as pollution prevention, and how to complete the proposal, scope of work, and budget sections in a way that aligns with the RFP requirements. Here's the agenda. We'll start with a quick overview of the program, then walk through what pollution prevention means in the context of this RFP. We'll cover eligibility, project types, requirements, and then spend most of our time on the three core application components: the proposal section, the scope of work, and the budget. We'll wrap up with submission tips. The Community Impact Accelerator Grant Program supports community-led implementation projects that deliver measurable pollution prevention outcomes. This is not a planning grant, it's an implementation grant. Projects must reduce pollution at the source, produce measurable outcomes during the grant period, and create tools that allow other communities to replicate the model. Everything in this program is designed to support statewide diffusion of successful approaches. Pollution prevention, or P2, is all about upstream action. It means reducing pollution before it's created. That can include reducing material, energy, or chemical inputs, substituting safer products or practices, or changing operations and behaviors to avoid waste generation. If your project prevents pollution at the source, you're in the right place. To qualify as pollution prevention under this RFP, your project must answer yes to all three questions. First, does the project prevent pollution before it is created? That's the core of P2, upstream action. Second, does it reduce the need for treatment, disposal, or recycling? If the project's primary outcome is better handling of waste, it's not P2. And third, does it result in a net reduction of inputs or hazards? Reviewers need to see measurable reductions in materials, energy, toxics, or waste. If you answer no to any of these, activity is not considered pollution prevention for this program. This test will save you time and help you focus your proposal on eligible high-impact work. Just as important is what P2 is not. Recycling, composting, waste collection, hazardous waste events, filtration, treatment, or general environmental awareness campaigns. These are all downstream activities. They may be valuable, but do not meet the definition of pollution prevention for this program unless they clearly drive upstream reductions. Eligible applicants include New York State-based 501c3 nonprofits, local government agencies, tribal nations, K-12 schools, higher education institutions, and other public sector or nonprofit entities. All applicants must have been legally established and actively operating for at least 2 years. Eligible project areas include food and organics waste prevention, source reduction and reuse, toxics reduction and safer alternatives, circular economy and materials recovery, and education and outreach that leads to measurable behavior change. The key word here is measurable. To help clarify, here are some quick examples. Projects that teach households how to prevent food waste, help institutions adopt safer cleaning products, or build community reuse systems, those are in. Projects that purchase composting equipment, or run hazardous waste collection events, or focus solely on recycling education, those are not eligible. All funded projects must include 5 core elements: a replication toolkit, a 12 to 24 month action plan, quarterly cohort participation, at least one regional sharing activity, and a demonstration site. These requirements ensure that your project has impact beyond your immediate community. We also strongly encourage train-the-trainer models, cross-sector partnerships, policy or procurement changes, and projects that meaningfully serve priority impact areas. These elements strengthen your proposal and increase the competitiveness. Every proposal must include 4 required pieces: the project proposal, the scope of work, the budget form, and any required attachments such as letters of commitment or resumes. These components work together. The proposal tells the story, what you're doing, why it matters, and how it reduces pollution at the source. The scope of work is your operational blueprint, the tasks, deliverables, metrics, and timeline. The budget shows how resources align with those tasks and demonstrate that the project is reasonable, allowable, and implementation focused. A strong application clearly demonstrates pollution prevention alignment, measurable outcomes, replication potential, and meaningful community leadership. Now let's shift to the application itself. We'll start with the proposal section. The proposal section tells the story of your project. It should clearly describe what you're doing, why it matters, how it reduces pollution, and how the community is leading the work. Your proposal must include a P2 focus area and current state, a problem statement, a project description, information about the community served, expected outcomes and metrics, replication potential, and alignment with the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act or New York State Solid Waste Management Plan. Each of these elements is evaluated during the review. Start by describing the current situation. What pollution problem exists today? What practices or behaviors are contributing to it? Why is P2 the right approach? This section sets the foundation for the rest of your proposal. Next, explain the community need. Use data, community input, or local context to show why this project matters. Reviewers want to see that the project is grounded in real demonstrated need, not assumptions. Project description is where you describe what you will actually do. Be specific. What activities will you implement? Who will lead them? How will you reduce pollution at the source? And importantly, how is the community shaping or co-leading the work? Every proposal must include measurable outcomes. Examples include tons of waste prevented, hazardous chemicals avoided, households reached, or energy saved. Be realistic, but be specific. Reviewers need to see quantifiable impact. Replication is a core requirement of this program. Explain how your project can be adopted by other communities, what tools you will create, and how your demonstration site will support learning and diffusion. Now that we've covered the narrative, let's move into the scope of work, the operational blueprint of your project. The scope of work breaks your project into tasks. You may include up to 8 tasks plus reporting. Each task must include activities, deliverables, metrics, a timeline, and responsible parties. A strong task is clear, actionable, and measurable. It tells reviewers exactly what you will do, what you will produce, and how you will measure success. Activities are the actions you take. Deliverables are the products you produce. For example, an activity might be conducting workshops. A deliverable might be the workshop curriculum or attendance data. Metrics should be tied to pollution prevention outcomes. Think in terms of outputs like number of participants and outcomes like tons of waste prevented. Each task must include a timeline and identify who is responsible. This helps reviewers assess feasibility and organizational capacity. Common issues include vague tasks, missing metrics, missing deliverables, or activities that don't clearly tie to P2. Avoid these pitfalls by being specific and aligning everything back to pollution prevention. Now let's walk through the budget section. The budget must align directly with your scope of work. Eligible costs include staff time, supplies, outreach materials, subcontracted services, and modest equipment tied to P2 implementation. Ineligible costs include business equipment, large capital purchases, waste collection or disposal, and general operating expenses. Your budget will include personnel, fringe, supplies, equipment, subcontracts, and other direct costs. Each line item must be tied to a task in your statement of work. The justification explains why each cost is necessary. This is where you show reviewers that your budget is reasonable, allowable, and directly tied to implementation. Red flags include equipment-heavy budgets, costs not tied to tasks, downstream or disposal costs, or vague justifications. Keep your budget tight, focused, and aligned with P2. Every funded project must produce a set of required deliverables that support statewide diffusion of successful models. First, you'll submit progress reports during the project period. These help us track implementation metrics and any challenges you're navigating. At the end of the project, you'll submit a final report summarizing outcomes and environmental benefits. You'll also develop a replication toolkit. This is a core requirement of the Impact Accelerator model. The toolkit should be implementation ready and allow other communities to adopt your project without needing New York State Pollution Prevention Institute support. Next is the 12 to 24 month action plan, which outlines how your project will continue to grow or be adopted after the grant period. You'll also participate in regional dissemination, such as workshops or peer exchange, to share your tools and lessons learned. And finally, each project must maintain a demonstration site, a real location where implementation occurs and where results can be observed and documented. These deliverables ensure that your project has impact far beyond your immediate community. Every funded project must complete a 6-month post-project evaluation. This is a short but important follow-up that helps us understand how your project continues to deliver pollution prevention benefits after the grant period ends. We'll ask you to report updated environmental outcomes, progress on your 12 to 24 month action plan, and any replication or diffusion that has occurred. For example, other communities adopting your toolkit or new partners joining your model. We'll also check in on status of your demonstration site and gather lessons learned that can support statewide adoption. This requirement reinforces the core purpose of the Impact Accelerator model: durable, scalable, community-led pollution prevention. Strong proposals have a few things in common. They show clear upstream P2 logic, meaning that projects prevent pollution before it's created. They demonstrate real community leadership, not just participation. They include specific, measurable outcomes, not general statements. They present a realistic timeline and scope that can be delivered within the grant period. They build in durable systems change, something that lasts beyond the grant. And finally, they show how the model can be replicated by other communities. If you hit these points, you're in competitive territory. A few final tips. Use the P2 test. Quantify outcomes, show durability and replication. Avoid downstream activities and start early. These templates require detail. Here is the overall timeline for the RFP. Submission deadline is July 1st, 2026. The review and selection will occur from July 1st to July 31st, 2026. Award announcements will be made on or about August 5th, with contracting occurring afterwards through September. A few common pitfalls to avoid. First, submitting recycling or diversion projects. These are not P2 unless they clearly drive upstream actions. Second, proposing one-time events without durable systems behind them. Third, equipment-heavy budgets that don't support behavior or operational change. Fourth, failing to quantify outcomes. Reviewers need to see numbers. Fifth, missing replication elements, which are required. And finally, weak community involvement. Avoid these and your proposal will be much stronger. We're here to support you during the RFP period. You can reach out with clarification questions at any time. Projects serving priority impact areas may also have access to office hours depending on capacity. And we can help you confirm P2 alignment so your project stays upstream and measurable. While we can't review drafts, we can absolutely help you interpret requirements. Please reach out with any questions. Thank you.